Hey, what's going on, everyone? Long time no see. New World players right now are pissed, and there's actually a lot of people that are quitting the game because of a couple changes that has drastic and big impacts. People are losing money, people feel like they've wasted a lot of money, and we're going to talk all about that, what these changes are in the video. So let's go ahead and check it out. But first, a word from our sponsors. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have any sponsors. Let's go. So any of you guys that play New World, well, probably all of you that watch the videos, just imagine you've grinded, you've played the market, you have spent hours and hours and days and weeks and even months saving up finally enough money to buy a best in slot chess piece or best in slot great axe for over $1 million gold in New World. And if you play New World, you know it takes a long time unless you're one of the top, PvP guilds. But just imagine spending all that time finally being able to buy one piece of gear, and then eventually, after enough time's gone by, you've got a whole set, best in slot healing set, light with shirking fortification, resilience, freedom, refreshing on every piece. And just imagine the total cost of this set. Or imagine being a bruiser, having thwarting strikes and all the best perks and a best in slot great axe, and then all your gear has shirking fortification and blah, blah, blah. And then you find out that it is suddenly not useless, but super, super, super nerfed because of a couple changes. Well, that's exactly what's going on now, and people are so mad they're quitting the game. And I was actually talking to a guy in my company, one of these very people who quit the game. And I'm like, dude, where are you going? You spent all this money, blah, blah, blah. They've made a couple of changes. He's like, Slender, no, you don't understand. These changes that they made, you may think they're small, but they have very big impacts on not only how my character is going to be played, what gear I'm going to be using, but I've spent millions of gold on this stuff. And he showed me the gear. I was like, wow. And I'm going to show you guys the specific changes we're talking about. You've probably already seen videos on the testing of how Fortify works and, all that stuff. And it's pretty crazy, and they are significant changes for sure. But what a lot of people don't realize, and I want you guys to take this into account going forward when you're thinking about spending all this money and thinking about saving all this money to buy one piece of best in slot gear. This is going to happen all the time. And I don't think New World developers are doing this to piss you guys off, but this game has PvP involved. When you're playing a PvP online game, the one thing that's never going to change in a game like this is change and balancing, and it's never going to end because the game is never going to be in a perfect state PvP wise. You're going to have your people that are pissing and moaning about bow shooters or about bow users and musket users, and then people complaining about healing and how it's OP and you can't kill a healer, etc. And this is something that's not going to stop, never. And there's always going to be changes. So before you spend all your life savings on a set, that's best in slot, it is not going to be best in slot forever. And I get it. I totally get it. If I spent all this time saving up all this money and I finally have a PvP set or a dungeon set, it is the strongest set of gear that you can have in the game for that specific class, and then suddenly have that taken out, it's like getting the rug pulled out from under you. Yeah, it's going to be a big blow and it's going to suck. And I would probably be pissed off too, but that is exactly why I don't spend all my money on stuff like this, because it's going to change and it's not going to last forever. So just keep that in mind. So let's go ahead and talk about those two changes that are causing all this uproar. So there's two big changes that are happening here. One is they are moving the 300 strength attribute bonus to now be the 300 con attribute bonus. And they also updated the functionality of the strength attribute bonus to grant increased base damage on heavy attacks. So the 300 strength attribute bonus is no longer grit. It is an increase in base damage on heavy attacks. And this is what it looks like in the game now. Basic attacks with a melee weapon gain grit. So all of your basic attacks with a melee weapon gain grit. That is huge. So this is what the new 300 strength bonuses on the PTR, plus 10% base damage to heavy attacks. And instead, the grit bonus is going to Constitution, the 300 Constitution bonus. So basic melee attacks gain grit. And because of that, weapons like these are not going to be as good as they are. Anything with thwarting strikes, not going to be useless, but they're going to be so much less effective. And then another big hit to a lot of people that have best in slot PvP sets is how Fortify is going to be changing. Now, this is all it says in the patch notes that I could find, and it says, and this is under mitigation formula, and I'm going to put this in the description for you guys. They change Fortify and Rend, we're just focusing on the Fortify here, to directly scale the player's armor rating. So right now, in the live version of the game, Fortify gives you this, a flat damage absorption percentage, and that is huge. So right now on live, anything with Fortify gives you a damage absorption increase by a certain percentage. Shirking Fortification, Fortifying Sacred Ground, anything that gives you Fortify. Again, it increases damage absorption by 9.7%. Now on the PTR, instead of saying increases damage absorption by 3.8%, it's going to increase your armor by 3.8%, which is way less effective. And the effectiveness of pieces of armor like this with Freedom, Shirking Fort, and Resilient, the effectiveness of these pieces are going to be severely reduced. And one of the videos that was pointed out to me by one of my company members is this guy right here by Death Metal. New World Bruisers are fine, combat changes and meta shift for Bruisers. And he actually breaks it down pretty well on how it's going to be changing stuff and how the Fortify is going to be changing. And one video that explained it really well, and this was actually pointed out to me by one of my company members, is Death Metal's video on how the Fortify is going to be changing and how the damage mitigation is going to be changing with the next patch. But basically, in a nutshell, Fortify is going to be nerfed pretty bad. You're still going to get a benefit from Fortify. It is just going to be severely nerfed. So things like Shirking Fortification, Fortifying Sacred Ground, that is all going to be way less effective. So that's it, folks. That is why people are going crazy. Now, if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments. I'd love to hear your guys' comments on these changes. What do you guys think of it? Would you leave? Do you think it's justified leaving the game because they made 2 balancing changes? I personally don't, but let me know what you guys think. And don't forget, check out Death Metal's video. It's a really good explanation of what's going on. And if you guys ever want to reach me, get a hold of me, want to reach out, even just shoot the shit, go check out my website, slender3mmo.com. So thank you guys for watching. Have a good one, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.